had an experience with one of my children when they were very young, 9 months old or 10 months old, that they stopped eating properly and they were losing weight. And it got to the point where the pediatrician said, "You're going to the hospital now."
Wow.
And we were there for almost 2 weeks. And they tried everything. They tried every test. They poked this poor child with everything they got, and nothing was working.
Wow.
And so the doctor said, "We're going to put a tube into the stomach. You're going to have to feed into the stomach."
Oh, wow.
Hashem helped that one of my mother's friends, who had dealt with many things like this with their children, calls me up and tells me, "Do not put that tube in the child. Do not. Tell the doctors that you want to take everything out. They had a nose tube and a this tube and a that tube and a this band and that thing and that test and that. Take everything out. Let the child just be. And you'll see the child wants to eat." So I told the doctor this, and the doctor's like, "There's no way." And I said, "Can we try?" I said, "Okay, you have 24 hours. I forgot exactly the number. They have to eat this amount of formula, whatever, in this amount of time."
Okay.
So they took everything out. I was holding my child. I said, "So, do you want to have a tube stuck into your stomach? What do you want to eat?" And I took the bottle, and guess what? Kids started eating and eating and eating. And within a very short amount of time, reached whatever benchmark the doctor had set. Doctor
Right.
was floored. They made us stay another day to make sure. And the recovery happened from there.
All right.
I believe that if we work with the child, not with our own fears, not with our own pressures, not with our own benchmarks necessarily. Obviously, we need to have benchmarks and we need to have systems and we need to understand where the child is and where the child's going academically, spiritually, etc. But if we are listening to the child and allowing the child to want and grow, and you want this, we know you want this. What do you need? What's bothering you? What's stopping you? Where are you? What do you need?
Mm-hmm.
I find that a lot of times a child who is struggling and learning is because they don't feel good at it. A child that's struggling with davening doesn't feel connected to it for whatever reason. Forcing them to spend extra time trying to daven, is that what's going to make them feel more connected? Or do we have to understand where's the disconnect? Allow them to feel that connection. Sometimes it's just a connection with another person. Sometimes it's a connection with...
I think it's also a lot more understood when you put parallels to the different ages and the different things that they're learning. It's an identical experience of education when you're teaching a kid not to make a mess all over the floor or not to touch their poop when they go to the bathroom. You know, like
Right.
it happens with 2-year-olds. They can get everywhere. And
even less than that, they might be playing in the toilet.
right, they can be
It's
playing
fun.
with
It's
the
a
toilet
water
water.
table.
It's the same experience to get them out of that as it is to get a kid to be calm in the right moment or to be respectful, or a higher developing thing would be like to come to minyan on time, to be on their own, wake up on time, to say Shema in the morning on time, to say brachas. All those experiences are the same education experience. And when we deal with a kid that's touching in the toilet, everybody knows that it's not helpful to yell at the kid or to freak out or to panic or shame the kid. It's not helpful. These things are not helpful. And if you realize that, they're the same way you taught the kid not to get in the toilet water. You didn't panic because you know that when the kid is 20 years old, he's not going to be playing with the toilet. Nobody goes to the chasana still sucking on a pacifier, right? It's okay. The kid will get over it. Then you could also have the same confidence in your child that, okay, right now he's struggling with making it to school on time, but it doesn't define him for life. It doesn't make him a person who's going to be a failure because at 10 years old, he's having a hard time getting up in the morning.
What do you think that when a child knows that we accept them no matter what, even with their issue right now, and we know that I know that you're not a child who has this issue for life. I know you're not a child who's going to be sucking a pacifier for life. I know you're not a child who's going to hate davening for life, because I was quite old when I learned that my appreciation for davening personally, but I really do love davening now, but it was much older.
It takes time as a process.
So that acceptance itself, I believe, is crucial for their development.
Right.
And we've seen it so many times with students that as soon as we said, look, We don't care how old you are and how bad you are and how good you are. We just love you for who you are. And we know that you can do amazing.
Right. But at the same time, we also guide them through it. We're not just gonna,
With help, of course.
right. The same way we don't just let the kid continue playing on the toilet. We make sure that the kid doesn't play on the toilet. I mean, we close the door. We take precautions to teach them to do those things the same way. You're going to take precautions,
But can we rewind to the not panicking part?
but not panic. Yeah.
So when we yell at the child who's playing in the toilet, what are you doing? You look at you. So the chances of that child repeating the behavior are almost 100%, at least in my family.
Okay. Didn't help. You didn't teach him anything.
You didn't teach him anything. All you did was, for some reason, the same reason Tati doesn't like me to play on his computer, he doesn't like me to play in his toilet, so it must be a good thing, right?
Must be really fun.
Right, it must be good, right? So the panic itself is not helpful. So let's go back to the child who doesn't want to daven, is not so good at Gemara yet, or Chumash, or whatever it is, Aleph Beis, reading Kriya, whatever it is. That if the child knows you're great, that makes the child want to be better. When I catch a child being respectful and I point out that I like their respect, that makes the child want to repeat that behavior more. I want to be respectful. I want to keep doing that. I want to grow into that. And yes, of course, I want to know the system. I want to know what the next step is.
So the key is to find good moments and make those shine. But what do you do in harsh moments? What do you do when there's something wrong?
So I think the key is, and we spoke about this before, is no matter what, my teacher, parent, guide, educator, mechanech loves me. And that allows me to be myself. And when I'm being myself, I can then uncover more of myself. When I feel the need to be someone else, to try to keep up with other people, to try to keep up with the world, so then I'm always not being myself.
Right. So the key seems to be the yeshiva das, the calm. When you're calm, your brain is working, and you could really bring out that inner neshama, that inner good inside the child. So it's not that you're not teaching the kid to have the good behaviors. Would be the one extreme. Just, oh, don't worry, he'll get better. No, he's not going to get better on his own.
No.
It's not going to fix itself. But on the other hand, it's not panicking. It's completely separate. It's not freaking out. It's not yelling. It's to have the presence of mind to calmly work it through. And if it's 2 years old, it's to calmly restrain the kid and show them, no, that's icky. It's yucky. It's dirty. We don't touch dirty things. And develop that thought process in the child and bring it out, the inner disgust that a child has to stinky things and to disgusting things. And when a kid makes a big mess on the floor, we show them, okay, we've been a big mess. It's very sad. We have to clean up. I remember when this was hilarious, when my little sister was like 3 years old. We had a pizza, and she took one bite out of her pizza and went to the garbage and threw it out. And like a lot of people would freak out, panic. No, my older sister is brilliant. She sat with her and said, in order to make this pizza, so much work went through. And she started going through the whole process. They had to plant wheat.
The 39 malachas.
She went through the whole thing.
Grind it.
And they had to grind it.
Winnow it.
Sift it. And she went through the whole story of how the pizza was made. And they had to add the cheese. And the
cow.
And the cow. And the sauce. And all the processes to make this cheese. And it was all waiting for you to make a bracha on it and to elevate it. And now the pizza is so sad because it's in the garbage. And we went over to the garbage and we had to apologize to the pizza and say, I'm so sorry. So sorry I threw you in the garbage. I'll never do it again. Trust me, my sister never threw pizza in the garbage ever again. It was thought through. It was calm. It was explained why it's important at her level for a 3-year-old.
So one of the things that's very striking from that story is that your older sister believed that this young girl was capable of not throwing something in the garbage.
Even though she's 3 years old.
She's 3 years old. She believed in her,
right,
that she had that skill, that ability. We've seen this again and again and again. A child who says, I can't. I've tried it.
Right.
And if we believe the child can do it, because everybody can grow, everybody can learn. And all we need to do is figure out how we're going to get from here to there.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to get you. Right now you're here. So let's take the next step and see how that goes. Oh, wow, that went well. Hey, it went well. Let's do another step. Maybe even a slightly bigger step. Hey, that went well too.
Mm-hmm.
right? And even when there's setbacks, and even when the child freaks out, the calm, hey, come, let's sit down. Let's go back. Remember we did this? Yeah, we did that. Remember we did that? We did that. Remember we got that? Yeah. Now we're doing this. And you already did all that. Can you do this too?
Right, a small thing.
And they do it again and again and again.
That's why I love the ski trip so much, because it's so impossible, and the kids arrive there flopping on themselves, and then it slowly. Oh, I was able to go 3 feet without falling. Wow, that's fantastic. And they go a little more and a little more, and then they learn how to turn and they learn how to stop. And each thing, they surprise themselves so much of what they're capable of doing that by the time we're done the day and they're flying down the mountain having a blast.
Two things. First of all, when we do raffles, when we get really big and we do raffles from our podcast, one of the raffle questions should be, how many times has Rabbi Freeman mentioned the ski trip? Number two, it's fantastic, by the way. It's good. Number two is the same thing happened to me with a Gemara test. A student handed me a blank Gemara test.
Blank test, nothing.
Blank test. That has his name on it. So I had him sit next to me, and we started from the beginning. I said, let's read it. We read the Gemara. I said, is there any words you don't know? He knew every single word. I said, okay, let's read and translate it. We read and translated it. I said, now tell me. I went to the next step. Well, what does this opinion say? What does Rabbi say? What does Rabbi say? Are you good? I said, okay, good. You got it. He knows it. I said, the first question on the test was, explain the difference between the opinion of Rabbi and Rabbi. You just did that to me.
Okay.
Oh, that was the question? And he wrote the answer. I said, okay. So let's keep going. You read the next piece. You knew it. I said, the next question was, oh, okay. He got 100 on the test. He felt like $1 million for getting 100 on the test. Why couldn't he do that originally? Why, when I gave him the test originally, I'm telling you.
First of all, I heard before, one of my teachers told me that like a kid that's not doing well in school, there'll be no problem handing in a half-written test. The kid who really believes in themselves and like holds themselves in high esteem, if they think they're going to get even an 80 on the test,
98.
That's it. It's blank. They're going to hand in a blank test.
Interesting. So
it's all or nothing. I'm not average. I'm not mediocre. I'm going to get 100%. If I don't get 100%, you're not getting a test back.
So what is it then? So why? I'm telling you, the kid could get 100. I wrote the test so that every child in my class knows it. This is
right.
I know that they know it. Why? Why won't he take the test?
Right.
And I believe it's about belief in themselves. For whatever reason, this child freaked out by the word test or by the concept of test. And as soon as they went into panic mode, it's over.
Right.
As soon as I was able to take them back to where they felt comfortable, which was the reading. And then they remembered that they were comfortable reading and translating because they know all the words. Then they remembered that they know all the ideas because they just read and translated all the ideas and they knew them. And then when they were presented with test again, they were fine. So I think this happens in a big picture all the time. Parents do it, teachers do it. I do it to myself sometimes. It's too much. I'm overwhelmed. Okay. So where are we going? What are we doing? What skills do you have? What do you know already? What do you have to work on? What's the first step? What's the second step? As soon as there's a calm ability to go through this one step at a time, and it doesn't matter when you start taking all those steps. We all know adults who started learning Gemara older than we are now.
Right.
And they finish us.
Right. Well, that's the main ability that you need to teach the kid, though, is that they could do things. It's not about the material that they're teaching. If it was the material that we're teaching, then we would have AI teaching, or we'd have, in 1922, Thomas Edison already said that the motion picture, the videos, are going to totally replace teachers in school. This is the new thing. That's it.
And now we know. And now we know that motion pictures are teachers' worst nightmare.
Didn't help anything.
Kids would only not watch those stupid movies. They'd be mad, right?
Right. And then they thought the radio would replace, and then they thought the TV, something is going to be one big major teacher who's so great at explaining things to kids, and he's going to get it all through to the kids. You just have hundreds of kids piled in an auditorium listening to the radio. Now thinking that none of these things help. You need a person
who believes in you
and teaches you the method of learning, to teach you the calm, teach you that spirit.
Helps you be calm when you get excited.
Yeah.
Helps you get over that. Sometimes we get there's social interactions. There's so many other
And having those other kids in the classroom is part of the experience.
watching other people be
Yeah.
successful, watching other
Right,
people get
right.
it, feeding off their
That's the
energy.
problem with homeschooling. The kids don't see other kids developing, so it's hard for them to see their own development unfolding. If a kid sees another kid struggling and then he gets it and passes, now he could emulate that behavior. Versus when a kid struggles at home, they don't see the process in another kid. It's hard for them to relate.
They may not know what success looks like. They might not know what failure looks like. They
Right.
might not know what struggle looks like.
Right.
They might not know what overcoming struggle looks like.
They don't know what weird looks like, and often kids will
Right.
lose social skills. There's so
Well,
much more than even just the social skills.
It's self skills. Yeah. And listen, we did it for many years, and we definitely appreciate what being in a group environment has to offer. It's a lot.
The best way for a kid to learn is in a nice big classroom with lots of children and a good, loving teacher.
And a mechanech who's okay with them where they are,
Right.
because they believe that they can get to the next step.
Mm-hmm. Calmly, without freaking out.
So I think it leads into that. I think when I believe in someone that they can do it, then I'm not panicked. If I don't believe that they can get to the next step, then I panic. Oh my gosh, what's going to be? It's an emergency. They can't do it.
But even if they're not going to make it to the next step, sometimes a kid's literally not capable of learning Gemara. They're not capable of learning Gemara.
Right.
How do you become okay with that? You have to have some sort of a super faith or something.
Well, 1 second. So if it's true that Hashem created a human being that is in my life, however that human being landed in my life, that is not able to do X, Y, and Z, whatever it is, let's call it Gemara, let's call it everything.
This is a classic thing. So many people are saying, not every kid's shaykh to learning Gemara. Not every kid could be a Talmid Chacham.
So if Hashem created that person that way, should I challenge that?
We should try.
Well, so we have to identify what the person is capable of,
Right,
and work towards that. But I think it's abusive to try to get someone to force someone to try to do something they can't do if they can't do it.
But the Rebbe came out with mitzvah, chitas, and Rambam. Every kid has to do chitas Rambam. Why isn't the kid? He's bar mitzvah already. He's not doing chitas Rambam.
I will mention with Rambam that the Rebbe did offer differentiation.
That's also true.
We have Pergachad, we have Sefer Mitzvahs, and the Rebbe made that part of the program. So I think that's actually a great example the other way, possibly, that what do you believe you can do? Do I believe I could do 3 brokim now?
And my 13-year-old kid's what's going to do Sefer Mitzvahs?
Again, so how do we, I guess what we're all saying here is how do we get rid of the panic?
Right. You can't panic a kid into doing paragraph on Rambam even. You can't panic a kid into knowing the Gemara well.
Can't panic a kid into going to bed.
Yeah, it definitely doesn't work. You can use like a metal hanger.
You can't panic a kid into anything. Can't panic a kid into going to the bathroom.
Right. That's a classic example.
But there you go. Right? But we all believe that a kid can go to the bathroom.
Eventually, yeah. Yeah.
And we
typically learn that behavior eventually. The problem arises when they're trying to get into a certain preschool or something that needs them to be potty trained by a certain age.
So there you go. So if we believe that a child will get there, and we believe that, so let's relax. Take the next step. What's the next step? What's the next step? Once we get into that, right? And we've seen it a million times. We've seen children who everybody wrote off and said they're never going to be able to learn, and then now they're learning. Right. They're learning beautifully.
Right. But they're learning like kids 3 years younger than them.
For now, I know.
It's like, when is he going to catch up to his age level?
But right now, I wouldn't. If anything, you know how to learn Gemara better than I do, and you're younger than me. So what does that mean for a long life? Does age level? How important is that? How old I am in my development?
In long term, it doesn't really matter. If you think of the long game, then it's very different. You think, but in yeshiva, like
I heard in our podcast, you say that the definition of chinuch is long term, right? So that's I think that's really important. And how much does a child gain from that loving support, that calm reassurance, that never-ending belief that I can do it? Because if I believe you can do it, I'm not nervous. I'm not panicked.
Not panicked because of 2 reasons so far we heard. is I'm not panicked because I know the kid will turn out and ultimately has good insight as long as I stay persistent along the child, keep on encouraging them and keep on
Next step.
developing one small step at a time. The kid it'll be the right thing. And I'm also not panicked because I know Hashem is the one who put us in this situation in the first place. Hashem is good. And I have to fully believe that whatever the situation that this kid and whatever this kid is capable of holding. And if this kid is a person that's forgetting their lunch every day, and I'm worried that he's going to be 25 years old and missing his plane and forgetting his passport, and it's definitely not going to help the panic and to try to put more and more tutors or whatever. But it will help accepting the child, and that when they're 25 and they do forget their passport, at least they won't feel the weight of the world crushing on their shoulders and get depressed. And they'll say, okay, this is how Hashem created me. I have this issue. Maybe they'll marry someone who can help them with their passport or something like that.
So the Friedrich Rebbe's formula is, first of all, identify what is the challenge, understand that then there's the acceptance of this is where the child is right now. There's the belief that the child can be the best they can be. There's
That Hashem created the
and
child.
that Hashem is here with us in this situation. And then we identify the next step and we go for it. And it works. They do go to the next step, and then they go to the next step, and then they go to the next step, way beyond our wildest dreams. We've seen
Often, yeah.
I mean, I'm so, which we're right now at the end of the school year, I am so proud of our student body. Every single one of them has done so well.
For sure.
So well.
And the greatest thing is that you see the older kids struggling and the younger kids see that and they learn how to struggle and power through.
How to struggle.
How to struggle, yeah.
That's so powerful. And I think, and we spoke about it last time, but like when a teacher's struggling and they see how the teacher is able to overcome that struggle, and they see how the teacher is able to deal with it.
Right. But then often the younger kids are also learning super fast.
And then we have to make sure that they're struggling too.
Okay.
I remember watching a student struggle with a certain thing, happened to be a not Jewish subject, was math. And the tutor said, okay, I really need you to listen now, because this is the 5th time I'm explaining it to you. Let's say it was long division, I remember.
Right.
And so, freeze frame. Do you think the child thinks they could do it the 6th time?
Oh, no, panic now.
Right.
I'm a failure. I missed it 5 times.
There's no way I could do it, right? So I happened to be there. And I said, wow, is it true that you've just tried that 5 times?
Yeah.
I said, yeah. I said, you know what it's called when you try something hard again and again and again?
Oh, yeah.
So,
persistence.
Persistence. So, persistence. I said, what do you think is more important, long division or persistence? I said, persistence.
Right.
I agreed, because I do agree. I said, you know, it's going to come a time when you're going to be a mommy. And it happens to all of us. There's a child that has a dirty diaper.
I know, I became a mommy.
Okay. There's a child that has a dirty diaper.
Right.
There's a child that's not feeling well and is throwing up. You're going to run into the bathroom. You're going to grab the wipes for the diaper and the towel for the throwing up. And you're going to look at your watch. You're late for carpool. And you're going to look in the mirror and you're going to say, I can do this. I learned long division.
I'm persistent.
I'm persistent. What's fascinating about the story is that the child actually did figure out the math problem the next time. I actually wasn't expecting that. I was just trying to give a long-term idea. But the calm happened.
The feeling safe, the feeling secure, the feeling okay with themselves.
It's okay that I'm trying hard and not getting it. Because I'm learning something much bigger than whatever I'm learning.
Right. You have to teach the kid to be okay with getting an 80 or a 90.
100%. I tell the kids all the time. One of the
wanting to challenge themselves to get a higher grade and feeling that competition at the same time.
Yes, we had a test just now on 35 Gemara words. It was important. That one goal is to get all of them right. Another goal is to accidentally get one wrong or 2 wrong, or for whatever reason not be able to get all of them right.
Break down crying
and be okay with it, and
not give up in the future. Because I'm a failure.
And it's okay if you get them all right this time and you work on that skill another time. That's okay.
Right.
So it's okay to struggle. It's okay to fail. It's okay to be okay. And it's okay. And it's obviously the goal to succeed and to do well.
How to be a winner and how to be a loser.
How to win at losing, how to win at winning.
Yeah, the kid needs to learn how to lose and how to win, both. Yes, you could be winning a championship or losing a championship, and you got to teach your kid how to react to both of those circumstances. How not to gloat when you win, and how not to give up on yourself, fall apart, and decide that the soccer is not for you anymore just because you lost the game. Not panic.
I think playing games is a great metaphor for all of this. Sports, even computer games, people keep playing them even when they lose. And they're okay with that.
Even when I got out on Subway Surfers.
I never played that, but the point is that
swiping. No,
I don't know. I feel like Tetris days, but
that's what they played when I was a kid.
Okay, so but even when you get out, you try again,
Right.
and the level is harder, and it's okay, and it's more fun when the level gets hard, because once I know how to win the game, I stop playing. Once there's no struggle, it's stupid. I'm out. Once I know how to play, and I always win. Tic-tac-toe. You ever play tic-tac-toe recently? No, because you know that how the game is going to end every single time. So there's value in struggle. There's value in not being good at something. There's value in not being perfect at it, because then it's fun if it's put into that lens.
Well, that it's the journey, not the outcome.
Right, and as long as there's somewhere to go, then it's good.
Yeah, but at the same time, we say Kina Seifrim Tarba Chachma. There's a competitive edge that makes the kids challenge, and I want to get a better mark than him. And you put up the kid who got a good mark, and you also have to be there for the kid who didn't get a good mark.
And what about the kid who always gets the best in the class? How do they see a challenge?
You got to make it harder.
Right, exactly. So that's I think the muscle of the games, right? Because I want to be in a place where I'm almost winning the game. That's my most fun. That's the most fun that I have in a game. Is when I'm
challenged, but
I'm almost winning, and then I sometimes win, sometimes lose. But I mean that I'm competitive. How do I see myself as competitive? Once I'm always winning, it's not competitive anymore. I lose excitement.
Right. It's not fun when your team just blows every other team out of the water. It's not fun. You want to have to struggle every game, and then a miracle at the end that you just squeaked by and won the championship.
In professional sports, most teams lose. Only one team wins the championship. Everybody else didn't.
Right. And they'll have to go with that.
I'll get paid a lot of money. It's okay to lose. It's okay to lose, but it's good. But there's a stress.
Is it okay to be a loser? All right.
It's okay to be a loser. It's okay to be a loser. I'm fine losing sometimes.
Sometimes I never fine losing, but I'll survive. I'll be. You want to be upset. You want the kid to be upset.
I guess I'm okay losing as long as I always want to win. Once I'm defined myself as a loser, then
and I'm okay with losing every time.
Right.
That's a problem.
Can't be okay.
Keep on pushing the kids. Keep on working on something.
All right. So if we were to summarize this all, we want children to be okay with who they are.
To be calm.
We want children to be calm. We want children to keep trying.
We want parents to be calm, and parents to keep trying, and parents and teachers to be calm. All these behaviors are both in the person that you're working with and the person that is working on that person. Both sides of the coin. You need to stay calm, believe that Hashem is there making the situation happen. This is his work, and therefore it's okay, whatever is going on. We're just going to do our best to fix it. We're going to work hard on fixing it without panicking. And the kid is also going to work hard on fixing it without panicking.
And it's important to have a plan for that.
Right? How to develop slow, one step at a time.
Identify, sorry, I think that's the Fidya's point. You have to evaluate what is the problem and what is the best way to get there. Mm-hmm. Not only, and the evaluation is so deep because today we're talking about the kid's character and his ability, his personality, his ability to become, what's he capable of, what's he not capable of, what challenges he facing, what challenges not facing. But then there's other external factors we didn't even get into.